Welcome one and all to another amazing night here in Tranquility.
We absolutely are in for a treat of a match here tonight, no question about it.
And the grenades from Pomku eliminate everybody on the field.
Now between something as well is going to be a fly as that Buckham, and it's going to be huge, fighting three.
The double kill with the Bastion ulti? Alright, I see you guys.
For B-Well, look to find a stick there, finds the stick, they find two with it!
Those who find the picks will save the fights, and they don't really need to save what they've already won.
And Cam with the four-man punch off the map!
Experience tranquility.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Tranquility, where we're in the playoffs again here in the Harmony Tier for an elimination game of Clairvoyance against Insidious. I am Dexatron, joined by Beth Kahn here tonight. Beth, how are you doing?
I am doing just fine. How about you?
Say I could be better, but I'm doing fine.
Is it because of the shirt? Anyways, tonight we have an excellent matchup going on between Clairvoyance and Insidious. Should be a really fun matchup. Dex, what are you looking forward to in tonight's game?
I mean, this is an elimination game here. These are two really good teams here. And Clairvoyance, I believe last week they lost a map 5 against Strix. Insidious, they swept Mets Gaming last week. So two teams coming into this one on two different kind of momentum levels. Insidious kind of riding high after a sweep, and Clairvoyance maybe, coming into this one a little bit slow after losing in the final map last week.
True, but that said, Clairvoyance has looked really strong all season, and they're technically coming into this with a slightly better map record than Insidious. But both of these teams, for both of them, it's do or die time. It's win now or potentially lose your chance to be in the playoffs. So it's going to be a fun match no matter what.
Yeah, you're absolutely right with that. Like we said, elimination game here. Loser, their season's done. It was a great season, but it's over. Winner gets to move on to, was it the champions bracket? Is that what we're calling it?
I believe so.
Yeah, so a lot on the line here tonight. But Beth, what are you most looking forward to in this game tonight?
I'm actually looking forward to seeing how both of these teams' favored comps play into each other. You reached out to both teams' GMs before the game and kind of asked them what they were... Saw that Clairvoyance is really into the Ramatra Ana comp, kind of a mixed brawly, pokey sort of rush style, whereas Insidious really likes to play more of a poke with a Sigma and things like that. So I'm certain that these teams are going to try to run their comfort picks to start off. It's a good strat to do when you're coming into a map where you've never played the other team or don't have a lot of experience with playing them at any rate, and you're trying to just come out strong and win. So it'll be interesting to see what maps get played here and what they decide to play on them.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there. But going back to those questions that I asked them, what did they both prepare to winning this game was? Clairvoyance, their GM straight up told me that they watched a lot of the old Insidious games, trying to figure out how they played in those games, figure out if there was a pattern they were doing. But looks like we have our first map of the night here, and we'll be heading to the newest map of Antarctic Peninsula.
This is kind of a fun pick. Like it's one of the newer maps, like you said, or the brand new map. So these teams don't have probably as much experience playing out on it as other maps. But it was the first map pick for, I believe, a couple of our games in the regular season. So it'll be exciting to see kind of what they decide to roll out on here. I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right here. But remember, I believe this is Clairvoyance map pick. So they definitely feel like they have some sort of a strategic comp advantage over Insidious on this map.
Yeah, and we do see Clairvoyance is running out on the Ramatra comp that they said they favored, although with a Baptiste instead of an Ana. Whereas Insidious is running out on the Junker Queen. We've seen a lot of Junker Queen being played lately. She's super strong right now. So it's not surprising that they're going to try to default to that, but it's going to be an interesting look. I feel like it's sort of a newer comp and that teams may not be quite as practiced on it. We see both teams running a Sim TP and running out with a Tracer instead as a replacement for that as we come here to the first point.
Yeah, and some guy in Acid almost already getting taken out here, having to get healed up there by their supports here to make sure they're staying. Box is already getting rid of that immortality field. Wiley here swinging that axe, trying to get some bleed on some of these members here of Clairvoyance, as Yaxon gonna be first one to fall here, as Nevermore gonna be able to throw some punches and find them.
Yeah, and we're going to want to keep an eye on Nevermore on this tank role again tonight. They're a very strong and kind of underrated tank, I feel like. They've been putting in a lot of work all season, and they're pretty darn good. So the slightly brawlier comp of Clairvoyance wins out against the rushier, more damage-heavy comp of Insidious. Both of these teams really don't have any ults up. They're just sort of poking and buying, but having that high ground is going to be instrumental for Clairvoyance.
And Insidious already able to take the point here. I feel like there's a little bit of a misplay there from Clairvoyance. Now they're going to have to try to retake it, but look at this. They're already having to fall back, and Sepp there able to take care of Pepino.
Yeah, that's a bit of a tough play for Clairvoyance. They wanted to maintain their positional advantage, but with Insidious just rushing the point, they maybe waited a second too long to go back and take it. And now Insidious is higher up on the rankings. But that said, it does look like Nevermore is turning the tide.
Yeah, and Annihilation will end up doing that most time. Finds 2 kills there. Now they're just trying to get rid of this Tracer. They're going to be able to do that, and only 30% will go over to Insidious.
Some guy steals the 5K from Nevermore, but really excellent play all around the Red Clairvoyance. Although they did lose the point and had to kind of regroup their position, they were able to do so pretty handily, and really just be able to regroup and come together for another play here. Insidious is going to want to use some of their ults here. It looks like they used their Junker Queen ult, which is kind of a rough ult to use on a lost fight, but they do have that Mei ult, which can definitely be instrumental here.
Speaking of the Mayo, it's going to be the first thing here, but here comes the Pulse Bomb stick. It finds one. The Death Blossom from Aston finds your teammate already. The support line down here for Insidious. However, Wiley able to find Nevermore there, keeping Insidious alive in this fight potentially, but they have to play very cautious knowing they have no supports. Pepino able to find boxes here, and that might just force a fallback here from Insidious, not to try to stagger out anyone else.
Yep, even though Nevermore fell to Wiley, I believe, the rest of the team on Clairvoyance was just able to clean up and keep the point. Very excellent play by them. Kind of a big ult fight for Clairvoyance. They did use both of their DPS ults. They only have 30% to their Ramatra ult. They do have their beat up, but Insidious is coming in with quite a few ults in their back pocket. If Skep's able to land a decent pulse bomb here, it could put them in a position where they are able to take this point fairly easily.
Yeah, but the rally going to be invested here first by Yaxon to try to get this fight going. Remember, that can now stun, so it can lead into a couple fast kills, but Sepp looking for that pulse bomb stick, not going to be able to find it, not going to be able to find any follow-up on it as well. Yaxon here trying to keep up everyone on their team. Immortality field being invested here early by some guy. Wiley will be able to take care of them once that Immortality field falls here, and Insidious looking like they're going to be able to retake point here. However, Yaxon does fall here, leaving Clairvoyance an opportunity here to stay in this fight.
Definitely. Kind of picks going back and forth here. It's anybody's game, but that is now favoring Insidious, who are able to flip the point, and Clairvoyance is being sent back to spawn to regroup. No ults were used there by Clairvoyance. They're coming up on almost 5 total ultimates for them, which is going to be great as they're going into potentially what could be a final flip if they're able to take it. However, Insidious does have a couple of big ults in their pocket as well. Junker Queen's ult can be very instrumental in bringing a team, either putting a team on their back foot or getting an early pick. And Skep taking out Manival here early is going to be devastating for Clairvoyance.
Especially with the Rampage coming in there. It hits Pepino and Nevermore, forcing out that beat from Pepino, but Sepp could be the first one to fall here after that pulse bomb, or after that kill there onto Mechanical. But the Blizzard now coming out from boxes. It catches 3, already 1 down, but the Death Blossom being invested here by Addison, not going to be able to find anyone. Actually, it's Addison here that falls.
Yeah, that ult trade between Boxes and Addison was actually kind of rough for both teams. I think both teams would have liked to have those ults in their pocket coming here in the last fight. Insidious was able to hold out and get some picks, and they keep sending Clairvoyance back to spawn. Just getting those early picks, not really letting them regroup, and now there's almost 90% on the clock, and we're coming into last fight.
Yeah, but Nevermore does have this Annihilation ready to go here. That could be a fight turning ultimate, especially since Insidious doesn't really have a lot here that can sustain them through it if Nevermore finds it or use it in a good spot. Overtime already started here. Maniac looking for a pulse bomb here, but we already see Addison fall here. Here comes the Annihilation. Your teammate already out. Nevermore trying to keep their team alive in this one. Step almost falling here, but the Annihilation is gone. Insidious here looking very good to take this first point.
Definitely. Clairvoyance is still holding on with Nevermore in that Ramatra form, and takes out Boxes, which could actually be huge. They've got some sustain coming in here with the Keurig ult, and some guy gets taken down, which is going to be devastating for Clairvoyance as well.
Maniac falls as well. Down goes Nevermore. Now they just need to get rid of the Lucio and the Reaper on point. Addison goes into the Wraith form here to try to keep himself alive, but Sepp going to be able to find them there, and they find Pepino. Insidious will take the first point here on Antarctic Peninsula.
Absolutely excellent play by Insidious. They did start out a little bit on their back foot there, kind of losing the high ground and losing that first fight. But they remained in it the whole time. They kept getting some pretty key point flips, preventing Clairvoyance from respawning and regrouping the way that they wanted to. Just really good coordinated and very aggressive play by them. That said, it was a 100-86. It was not a sweep by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm looking forward to more Overwatch here and seeing these teams that appear pretty evenly matching up. Insidious is sticking, I'm assuming, on the same comp that they ended on last time, with Skep on that Symmetra, probably going to switch over to a Tracer. Clairvoyance is not opting to go for the Tracer teleport out of spawn, which is probably going to put Insidious at an advantage, although, as I say, that will switch over to the Hanzo instead.
Yeah, and, you know, when asking those questions to Clairvoyance's GM, they specifically said, when I asked him, like, who's someone on the other team they need to watch out for, they talked about a Kiriko that likes to play off angles, a DPS Kiriko, and Yaxum not finding a lot of kills that last round, but was doing a lot of damage, and already up to 22% right now as this fight commences on the high ground here. But Pepino able to take care of Wiley here. This is going to get everything going here for Clairvoyance, and look at that, 3 already down. They're trying to make it 4, but the ice block going to keep them alive only for a mere moment. It will be a team kill here to start out for Clairvoyance.
Yeah, that was a fantastic early play by Clairvoyance. Their target focus was honestly impeccable. A lot of times the tank isn't the one you want to go to first, but when you have them isolated and feel like you can take them down, they're definitely one of the highest impact targets you can take down. Lots of game left to go here. 8% just now ticking up on the clock. And I do want to continue to keep an eye on Axon here, like you mentioned. They're already at 37% to their ult, and even though Kiriko has been nerfed since release, they're still a very powerful hero and can put in a lot of damage and a lot of healing. So definitely watch them to make an impact here.
Yeah, and immediately Insidious goes straight for the point. Yaxum, look at that, able to find Maniac out early. That's not what you want to see, but that's a good trade there from Addison, finding your teammate. Some guy falls right after. That's just trades going back and forth each way here. Nevermore falls. That's not what you want to see if you're Clairvoyance. But you do see the Suzu invested there to keep Wiley up in this one. The Blizzard actually going to be invested here by Addison. They find Sepp off of it, and the other members of Insidious just have to kind of back away from it so they don't fall as well.
Yeah, that was, a great tempo ult by Addison. A lot of times you're like, it's a lost fight or it's an almost lost fight. We should hold our ult stall out as long as we can. Addison saw the opportunity to give themselves a little bit of space and really clear that point out and sustain it for another 10-20% on the point here.
Yeah, and because of this, they're going to be able to get back into this one. Might even be able to win another team fight here. The Annihilation is ready for Nevermore if they want to invest it here. And then honestly, it would be a good idea too. No ultimates ready for either supports for Insidious, but at this point, already taking 3 members down, they're going to be able to hold on to it.
Investing Ramatra ults is Nevermore. Don't even need it. I'm just able to punch them. But Skep does get a little bit of a late pick here, which may put them at a disadvantage if they're not able to get this Lucio to sort of even things out. But still having that Ramatra ult is going to be absolutely huge for Clairvoyance. That is an absolutely fight-winning ultimate, and they're already at 83% on the point. That said, Insidious has 5 in the pocket. It looks like they're starting off with the Dragon Strike.
That Dragon Strike's definitely going on that high ground to try to get Clairvoyance off it or to split them up. Looks like it won't find anyone yet, but here comes the Blizzard from boxes. It's on that high ground as well. Will force out the beat from Pepino. Only hits some guy, but your teammate already falling here. So does Sepp. Nevermore just throwing haymakers at everyone right now. Popping the Annihilation. You're going to be able to find Yaxum Wiley, though. Going to be able to find Pepino. However, they will fall shortly after that. And Clairvoyance looking like they're going to send it to the final point here on an Antarctic Peninsula.
Yeah, and Insidious had and used 5 ultimates, or 4 ultimates, and there's their 5th ultimate in that fight. It does look like we're still having a bit of a trickle fight coming in here. But really great target focus and coordinated team play by Clairvoyance to be able to sustain through those really powerful ultimates while being able to just continue to survive.
Yeah, and the Blizzard being invested here by Addison just to seal the deal on this point. Like I said before, heading to a point 3 here on Antarctic Peninsula. Thank God I was able to say it that time. But, you know, this was a much different round than what we saw in the first round. Clairvoyance seemed absolutely dominant.
Ready for battle.
Yeah, that whether it was their point, their map, or just a slightly better, I guess, better team comp for them, although I guess there wasn't that much that changed other than the BAP to the Kiriko, which we see Yaxum going back over to the BAP. They just definitely looked like they were playing much better as a team. We saw really good target focus, really good ult rotations, and just really playing together well. Honestly, just solid Overwatch all around. If you're Insidious here, what do you have to do to win this one, do you think, Dex?
I mean, the one biggest change that Insidious made going into that last map was Sepp didn't play the Tracer, they played the Hanzo instead. I don't really think Sepp was finding the value they desperately needed with that one. I don't think we saw him in the kill feed that often. This round, they're coming back out with the Tracer. It really worked well for them on that first point. I expect them to go back to their good ways, and wow, I cast a curse to them immediately.
Yes, you did. Although it looks like they've got a good wall up there, Nevermore's going to be able to survive that. Insidious looks like they're in a tough position here and probably are going to set back to spawn.
Wiley swinging that axe right there. Boxes will find Maniac there. The point is open. Insidious looks like they're going to try to cap it here first, but each team just trying to win this team fight before they go to point, and some guy maybe went to point a little bit too fast. However, Nevermore and Pepino going to be able to take care of some members, trade it back out. Septo coming back into the fight will find Nevermore. This point still not capped yet, but it does look like Insidious has the members there, and they will cap point first.
And I may have caster script people and said that Clairvoyance is going to take this, but it looks like Insidious is able to get first cap here. Wiley did absolutely a ton of work on that fight. 83% on the Junker Queen ultimate, which absolutely massive. Addison on Clairvoyance is coming up with the freeze as well. Both of these ultimates could be extremely game-changing or fight-winning, depending on how quickly they're earned and how they're used. So definitely watch them coming into this fight.
And Sepp is about to have a pulse bomb as well. That could be something that ends a team fight really before it even starts here. And you do see him trying to diff Maniac right here. Not going to be able to do it just yet. There they go. They get the headshot. They do have the pulse bomb ready to go, but Box is going to be just punched to death there by Nevermore on point. The Blizzard coming out here from Addison will find a second one there, but the pulse bomb going to only find that immortality field. Yaxum does find some guy, but at this point, Clairvoyance just trying to clean up these kills here on point. Your teammate will fall, Sepp will fall, and Yaxum in a really bad spot will eventually fall as well.
Yeah, not a bad spot for Insidious to be in, though. They got 48% on that point, and didn't really use any ultimates. They've got, other than Skep's Pulse Bomb, they've got 4 coming up here, still have that Junker Queen ult, and they've got the Freeze, Kiriko ult, and Lucy ult of their own coming in. That said, again, we've seen Nevermore put in absolute work on that Ramatra, and including using the Ramatra ult. And other than the Freeze, Clairvoyance didn't use anything, so could be a big ult fight coming up here.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who invests in ultimate here first. The Blizzard, though, going to be first invested here by Box and the Casino Rush by Yaxum. Look at that. Sepp going to find, or Nevermore going to find Sepp. However, some guy going to immediately trade off with that, but that'll force out the Annihilation here from Nevermore. And look at that, Insidious playing it smart, just running away. The Annihilation will find no one here, but Maniac trying to find your team here. Not going to be able to, and now Insidious heads for the point.
Yeah, the Ramatra ult may not have found anybody, but it removed a ton of pressure, allowing Addison to pick off boxes, and after Clairvoyance had regrouped and gotten some of their cooldowns back. We do see Junker Queen ult coming up and being used, but really not making much of an impact here either.
Addison will find Sepp there, and the Rampage didn't really find any value there because Pepino immediately used the beat as a good kind of counter ultimate there, kept everyone on Clairvoyance alive, and honestly, there wasn't enough damage there to sustain or really go into that Rampage ult to try to knock anyone down.
Yeah, definitely. And Insidious used a lot of ultimates in that fight. They're down 3. It looks like Clairvoyance is using the window here to try to get some early pressure on them.
Ice Wall comes out trying to block off some guy from getting to that point. Now the Blizzard coming out here from Addison on point. It only catches one. The pulse bump from Sepp, though, will find someone as the beat was invested by your teammate, but Sepp picking up some slack here, finds 2, looking for a third year on to the other Tracer of Maniac, but Nevermore back in his boxing phase, able to find boxes and Yaxum in the matter of seconds, make it 3 in the matter of like 5 seconds there, and Clairvoyance in a really good spot at the moment.
Yeah, Skep got some really big early picks there. Good target focus, picked out the healers first, but Nevermore just said, oh no you don't, and just went into punchy form, and with that wall, it looks like Clairvoyance is going to be taking this first point.
Yeah, that first point for Clairvoyance was not necessarily the best showing for them, but, you know, at points it did seem like they were a lot better than what we saw on that first point. Point 2, dominant from Clairvoyance. Point 3, a little bit of back and forth, but it never necessarily felt like they were down at all that third point.
Yeah, definitely. Clairvoyance may have come out a little bit slow, but they definitely hit their stride in the second and third points there. Whereas Insidious, although they looked really strong on the first point, just kind of struggled to keep up the second 2. Whether that's due to map geometry, whether that's due to team composition or comfort picks, it's kind of hard to say, but we've got a lot of Overwatch left to play to find out.
You're absolutely right there, but we will be heading into our second map here of a hybrid map. Now, one of the things that the GM for Clairvoyance spoke about in the questions that I asked him, they talked about the fact that Insidious, when they played Mets Gaming in their last round, ran a dive comp or a Winston comp on to Kings Row. And in their words, that's just something that doesn't necessarily happen at this level or these ranks that the Harmony tier is. So it's going to be really interesting to see if we go to Kings Row, if Insidious wants to pull out that dive comp again, because it's going to be the first real time that Clairvoyance will see that on Kings Row.
Totally, and it's one of those things where, especially in Harmony tiers, like there may be a comp and it may be the strongest comp, but if both teams are practiced on and playing that comp and are used to it, if you throw one little wrench in the plan, it could completely throw things off. I feel like we saw it back in the day. Different, and it's just something they're not used to seeing, so they get caught on the back foot a little bit. And since Overwatch is such a game of swings and advantages and disadvantages, it can be really tough to come back from that. So I kind of almost hope we go to King's Row. I think it'd be fun to see what Clairvoyance does with Insidious running something they may not be as used to or practiced on.
Yeah, and just another fun thing here. Insidious, I asked like what player that they necessarily thought they needed to watch out for tonight, and they said it was gonna be Maniac on the DPS, or really on the Tracer. But in my opinion, on Anarch Peninsula, the person they really need to be watching out for was Nevermore on this Ramatra. It just seemed like they almost had free reign to do whatever they wanted at certain points.
Definitely. Although Maniacal and Addison were putting in a lot of work, we definitely saw Nevermore really shine there. Holding fights, turning fights, getting good picks, sustaining, and honestly just doing what a tank needs to do to lead their team to victory. Just excellent play all around by them.
Yeah, but, well, once we know second map, we will tell you. But at the moment, like, I still think this is still a very good series here. I think Insidious did show us enough in that first map that gives me hope that it's not just going to be a sweep. I feel like Insidious coming off that sweep last week does have some momentum. Now, it got knocked down a little bit there after, losing those last 2 points on Antarctic Peninsula, but they're going to bring us to a map that they feel 100% confident in that they can win.
Which it sounds like Numbani, which actually for Insidious sounds like a great choice. Insidious did tell us before the match that they really like running kind of poke comps. They like running Sigma comps, and if they do, since they're going to Numbani, the first point defense is absolutely fantastic for that. Can run it on third point or second point defense too a little bit. Maybe falls apart a little bit third point, but that first point might be one of the heaviest defensive poke maps in the game. Clairvoyance is going to want to have a good strategy to deal with that if that's what Insidious is hoping to run here.
I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right with that. But Clairvoyance, I feel like, just speaking to their GM, it feels like they're pretty comfortable on most comps, in my opinion. While they do tend to favor that Ramatra comp, as we saw there on Antarctic Peninsula, they talked about, especially with the buffs to Junker Queen, starting to run that a little bit. Maybe we see that here. I don't know if that's a good response to a poke comp, but it's definitely one that will try to get into the face of a poke comp, at least.
Yeah, my Diamond 5 brain Overwatch thinks that Junker Queen might actually be really good into a Sigma poke comp. As a Junker Queen, you're looking to play fast and hard and really just get in a lot of damage and get a lot of sustain from your axe swings and things like that. And although poke can have a lot of sustain, what they really want to do is play over long distances. They want to get those long sight lines, and the Junker Queen comp is really good at cutting those off. So I think that would be a great choice for Clairvoyance if they're anticipating running into a poke comp here, but we'll see what they decide to run out on. Smarter brains than mine are behind the coaching staff for both of these teams, so I'm just speculating at this point.
Yeah, but like you said, we're heading into Numbani here. Insidious gets the map pick, Clairvoyance gets to pick sides. I always say go with defense. Clairvoyance, though, maybe running off that momentum that they got from winning those last 2 points on Antarctic Peninsula, might attack first, but no, they're doing the smart thing here, going defense first.
Yeah, they're going defense with a Winston comp. Very, honestly, a smart play. I do like running a Winston kind of divey comp on here, especially if you're as coordinated as we've seen Clairvoyance be. They're running Genji probably to dive with the Winston, and an Ashe for a little bit more sustained damage, long range damage, and things like that. Whereas we see Insidious also running out on a Winston comp, but they're running with a Sombra Hanzo. That's kind of an interesting pick on attack. The Sombra can be really good at getting a hack target off, finding somebody, scouting out, finding somebody for Wily to dive if that's what they decide to stay on. And boxes on the Hanzo, it's an interesting pick. There are a lot of high grounds here that could be a really high advantage, especially if Boxes is really feeling their Hanzo today. But it's kind of interesting to run in my mind, it's interesting to run a Winston on attack with only having one dive follow-up target. But that said, again, smarter brains than mine are taking care of the coaching for both of these teams. But we do see Boxes is feeling that Hanzo tonight. Gets an early pick onto Addison, which is going to be great for Insidious.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. Boxes on this Hanzo. All you really need to do is find one lucky headshot, and then the entire fight immediately changes here. You do see the hack try to come out there on the Peppino. Actually, it does. Not able to find them just yet, but look at just the follow-up on it. Both supports trying to keep Peppino up. Quicksilver, though, gonna fall. Yaxim does fall as well as as they do find them there, but Sep able to find them right back. Addison, though, finds your teammate. Box falls as well, and look at this. Clairvoyance actually able to come back into this one.
Yeah, honestly, very good coordination by Clairvoyance there. They scouted their dive targets, they dove them well. That Skep is still here, looking out on point, but probably not going to be able to really do a whole lot here. And it does look like Clairvoyance may end up getting this, although Insidious may get another touch in.
Ooh, Sep getting caught out there by Quicksilver, just kind of flailing that flail around there. Unfortunate, but they're able to keep themselves alive here, and as Insidious tries to come back into this one, and immediately Wiley just goes straight to point.
Yeah, honestly, Skep did a really good job there. Like I said, like, oh, Sombra's gonna touch, get out, blah, blah, blah. But that stall and being able to take a pick onto Addison really helped Insidious regroup, get their main players back onto point, and hold them to 46% on the point count, which is absolutely fantastic.
Wiley, though, able to find Addison again, I believe, off of hack there from Sep. They do have the EMP ready. Nevermore try to get back in this one, but at this point, already down a couple here, and the first point being capped. You might not dive right back in on this one.
Yeah, probably not. Also, I think I may have just casted that last map thinking offense and defense slipped in my brain, so I completely apologize for that. But just coming in here, a couple of really ultimates on their attack. Skep has their EMP, which could be absolutely instrumental, and especially in a dive comp, of helping them to find out a target and just take him down quickly. We do have the Nano up, but Blade is still incoming, and Addison switches over to a Reaper, probably to try to counter Wiley's Winston a little bit better.
Yeah, I like that. I like that swap there coming out from Addison. It just didn't seem like the Hanzo was working out for them there. They did swap to it after one life, I believe, off the Ash. But again, once they fell, going over to this Reaper is probably a good idea. But Wiley immediately able to find Nevermore there, and just look at the pressure that Insidious is applying to Clairvoyance right now, forcing them to play really far back at the moment.
Yeah, and that was really good play by Insidious. They saw that Nevermore was a little bit out of position on that Winston, and were able to capitalize it with a bunch of their players running in and taking that pick pretty early. Without a Winston, Clairvoyance really has to back up here. They were not able to apply the frontline pressure that they need in order to succeed here.
Oh, that's a scary dragon coming out there from boxes, and immediately finds Pepino and splits everyone else from Clairvoyance away. They find Addison. Wow, he falls as well, and right now, Insidious looking like they're not even going to have any stoppage on this first push.
Yeah, I don't know if boxes necessarily had to even move that last fight. They just kind of rode the cart the whole way in, and the rest of the team was able to do a lot of work to clean up. But Clairvoyance, again, they've got a lot of ults in their pocket. They really haven't used anything yet, other than Addison switching over to the Reaper. That's my ult tracking up. And neither has Insidious. They've used the Dragon Strike.
Blade coming out here does find one. They get slept out of it, though, but it doesn't matter as Clairvoyance is picking up kills here, and they desperately needed to stop this card at least once. A good team fight win there. Honestly, that's only their second team fight win of this round.
Yeah, and there's 4 minutes and 20 seconds left for Insidious to be able to push this all the way in. If you're Insidious here, you feel like you're in a really good spot. You have 4 ultimates in your pocket, all of which can be absolutely game-changing, whereas Clairvoyance has a rally and a Winston ult. Both of those can be very instrumental in kind of sustaining the point, but neither of them are ults that I would normally consider as very high damage output or fight-winning ultimates.
EMP comes out just onto the support line there for Clairvoyance. Your teammate in boxes are already falling early here. Here comes the Death Blossom from Addison. It finds 2. Nevermore will take care of Wiley, but a lot of help there from Addison to find a team kill there. And now Clairvoyance looking to finally stabilize here a little bit.
Yeah, Clairvoyance has definitely kind of pulled it together. It can be really tough, especially on point B of Numani. It's a very steamrollable point. So they got caught on their back foot. They kind of kept getting picked out early. It was really tough for them to regroup here, but it looks like they've really found their footing here. Insidious, it does have a couple of big ults still. They've got that Nano, which can be instrumental when going with a Winston. They've got the Kiriko ult up. But all that said, they got picked early then again, which is going to send them back to spawn, and we're down with 1 minute burned off the clock, or another minute burned off the clock, I should say, since the last fight.
Yaxum just kind of sitting there, no one noticing them, but now Insidious going to invest that Nano here onto Wiley. The Casino is coming out from Yaxum as well. They're going to try to pick up a lot of kills here. Sep already able to find Maniac. Nevermore does trade out onto your teammate, however, and, you know, that basically seems like all they might get this team fight. Someone's still holding the cart up here for Clairvoyance, but Insidious now finally going to be able to push this card a little bit.
Yeah, that was a really good play by Nevermore, gotta say. So both teams kind of went for each other's back lines and were able to trade out a little bit, but Nevermore being able to get that honor really put the kibosh on the kibosh on the plans of Insidious. So just really, really good play by them.
Yeah, Sep falling here a little bit late or maybe a little bit early in a team fight does force Insidious to fall back here, and this is just working great for Clairvoyance. Already 2 minutes ticked off the clock here, and or Clairvoyance coming up on a couple ultimates as well. Insidious only coming up on about 2 here.
Yeah, definitely, but who needs... If you can get a 3K with one ult as Clairvoyance, like, you're sitting pretty there. Holy smokes. Insidious, again, like you said, they've got a couple of ults in the pocket. Clairvoyance didn't quite have as many, but Addison was able to get a massive 3K there and just really hold it.
Yaxem trying to get themselves out of there. They do get some help there from Sep to get themselves out of certain death right there. But now Insidious coming back in this next engagement. 2 ultimates ready. Yaxem can get that Kitsune Rush pretty fast, but Clairvoyance definitely has some ultimates here to pretty much cancel out anything.
Yeah, I've got 2 kind of big ultimate combination potentials on both teams. You got the Nano Blade coming in from Clairvoyance, but Insidious has an EMP Blossom as well, which could be absolutely instrumental for them at this point.
Wiley able to find Pepino there. Maniac falls as well off the back of that Death Blossom there from Boxes, but Boxes teleported in there, lost a lot of health. Lucky enough, able to get 1 there. Insidious will end up winning that team fight. That was a very weird team fight because the EMP came out and there were some kills, but it was just weird.
60 seconds.
Yeah, it was, but that might end up being a pure fight win for Insidious. Clairvoyance has so many ultimates in their pocket, all of which could just put an end to their fight right here.
Yeah, look at this. Maniac able to find 2 with that Nano Blade there. Nevermore focusing in on Wiley here. Maniac will be able to find them as well. 40 seconds left to go here. Insidious is coming up on 3 huge ultimates. Clairvoyance will only really be able to probably build up 2.
Yeah, and Clairvoyance, although they won that team fight, they won it fast. And one of the things on defense you want to do is try to burn as much time as possible. Because they won that fight so quickly with all those ults invested, Insidious is able to come back with another fight, and they've got this Kitsune Rush in their pocket, which they're popping early here.
Yeah, immediately gonna pop. You see everyone just rush into the back line here. Box is trying to focus in on the support line here. Kind of try to keep themselves alive, but Quicksilver able to find your teammate there, and Maniac finds Boxes. However, Wiley finds Pepino here. Clairvoyance doing enough here to potentially keep themselves alive. That's when Maniac finds Sep, and now Quicksilver gonna be able just to rocket flail Yaxem down. Now all they have to do is get rid of this angry monkey on the point. It's 5v1. Wiley will come back down, but immediately be met by a Death Blossom. Your teammates are gonna force the beat out to try to keep themselves alive, but a 5v1, even with the beat, you're not gonna win that.
Definitely not. It's just going to be a trickle fight here until the end, until the Overwatch timer, or the overtime timer runs out here. But gotta really hand it to Clairvoyance there. They got set on their back foot pretty early on. They really struggled kind of those first 2 points, but were really able to do a good job of turning it around and holding it on third. There towards the last fight, I did mention that maybe they'd popped their ultimates too early, maybe they won the fight too quickly. But even though they had absolutely no ultimates in their favor, they were able to hold the line and absorb the attack of Insidious very well there, allowing them to prevent it from being capped all the way to the end of third. If you're Insidious here, you're feeling like you're probably in a pretty good position. All you got to do is push it a couple meters further than the team before you, and you've got the dub in your pocket. No overtime situations here. Insidious, or excuse me, Clairvoyance, excuse me. And Clairvoyance, like you mentioned, they can run all sorts of stuff. But Insidious has mentioned that they do like running a poke comp, and again, we're gonna see what they do on defense now. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see. I would not be surprised at all if we see the exact same thing of just 2 Winston comps, 2 dive comps essentially, for both teams to start out here. But you know, one key thing I thought that really saved Clairvoyance in that final team fight was when Boxes just TP'd into the back line there. Everyone pretty much dived back there to keep the supports alive, and it ended up working out perfectly for them.
Yeah, definitely. But as we're going into this fight, or this round, I should say, it does look like Clairvoyance is running route on that Winston comp that you mentioned, a little bit divey, a little bit pokey, just exactly what they were running in the first one. Insidious, however, is running out on that Sigma comp that they said they wanted us to keep an eye out for. They've said that Wiley is probably one of the strongest Sigmas in the tournament, so it'll be fun to see them in action here. And we see Boxes going over to a Torbjorn. Hasn't been a character we've seen at all yet this game, but can be very strong on these points since you have such an advantage in front of us.
Yeah, but this is not a good start here for Insidious. Yaxim immediately falls there. Addison trying to just chunk down this turret, almost losing their life here, but Seth able to find Nevermore might keep Insidious alive in this team fight. Box is next one to fall. It's just trades going back and forth here. We've seen it already a lot so far tonight, but Seth able to give Insidious the man advantage here.
Yep, Clairvoyance being set back, even though it seemed like they were at a high advantage kind of in the first. Getting Yaxim out of the way takes out so much of Insidious's sustain, but Insidious played that very well. We're able to absorb that. Teammate putting in tons of healing and really just helping their team out. Clairvoyance switching over from a Winston over to a Ramatra comp, looking for more of that comfort pick with that tank that they feel more confident on. They are still keeping the Genji, kind of an interesting pick, can definitely work as sort of a dive analog to this comp, but it'll be interesting to see kind of how they decide to approach this with this slightly more unconventional team comp.
Yeah, the Nemesis form already being forced out here by Nevermore as they go below 50% health there. They're going to be able to get healed back up. Addison will take care of that turret there, but you immediately see just everyone dive in there. But the Nano coming out here onto Nevermore might cause a lot of damage, and now Nevermore just going to start throwing hands. They're focusing now on Boxes. Boxes gonna overload themselves so to make sure they stay alive, and no one falling from that is insane. Sep getting healed at the last moment there. They do have a Bob ready to go. I might see it get invested here. It's gonna be invested here.
Yeah, and it looks like Insidious is probably going to clean up here. Nevermore is still on the point with an Ana pocket. There's just so many more members of Insidious. Although Nevermore chooses to use their Ramatra ult here, which is kind of interesting considering how outnumbered they were, but they do have spawn advantage, and it does doing a decent job at clearing the point. At least it got the tank trade in.
I understand why they use the Annihilation there. I don't like that they used it there. I feel like having it next fight would have been a lot better, but they used it there because they saw Pepino hit that anti onto Wily, and they thought, hey, if we can get down their Sigma, and I still have a support here to heal me up, we can win this fight, maybe win this point.
And honestly, they did get the trade on the tank, and they did have the supports up. They had closer respawns and things like that. But I agree, it was kind of a rough time to use that ultimate. But if we have another Nano Morgue coming out, maybe they'll learn it back quick enough that it won't even matter.
Here comes the Flux from Wily. Already finds one. The turret finds a second one, and already Clairvoyance on the back foot here. Maniac and Acid won't be able to get out. Pepino just accepts it there, and that'll be a team kill for Insidious.
And there's only 1 minute left on the clock here. Clairvoyance is coming up on a bunch of ultimates. They still have their Dragon Blade up. Addison almost has has another Bob up. Brig ult can definitely help, and we've seen Nano more before, so they might end up doing that again. Insidious not quite in as good of a position from that perspective. They've only got a couple of support ults up, but I've really got to hand it for the way that Wily and Skep have been playing. They've been absolutely dominant on both of the characters that they're on, and honestly just looking so good on this Sigma Ashe combo.
Addison at this side angle or off angle does have Bob ready to go. The turret already taken down here. Here comes the Nano Blade. It finds one. Maniac able to find one right before that. This might keep their team alive. It's already 4 down. Make it 5 here. It'll be a team kill for Clairvoyance, and they're going to be able to keep themselves alive in this map.
Yeah, really great play by them. They were able to look a little bit more coordinated and really break through that very tough defense of Insidious. Insidious is switching things up for second point, not wanting to stay on that Sigma Poke comp, even though they found a lot of success with it. Clairvoyance almost capped in overtime. They only have 2.5 minutes to cap this point. Both teams are pretty light in terms of ult resources. That last one was kind of a big ult fight for both sides. So it's probably going to be a dry fight coming in here. Nevermore, though, switching off and going over to the Junker Queen into this comp. Definitely a different sort of look here.
Yeah, a lot of swaps coming out from both sides here. Wily, though, immediately able to find Addison there. But look at Insidious. They're pretty much running a completely different comp minus the supports, or some of the supports here. But Wily diving in there immediately gets slipped. Going to be able to keep themselves alive here, so you will jump out of it. Your teammate, though, going to be able to find Quicksilver there. Just trade it out both ways. Maniac will fall. Your teammate falls as well. Insidious, you're currently leading the numbers advantage. But as long as this Junker Queen is alive, it might cause some trouble here.
It might cause some trouble, or maybe have them get staggered out and kind of delay the inevitable here. Kind of hard to say. Clairvoyance making all those swaps, it could be better for them in the long run, but they don't have that long of a run. There's only 1.5 minutes left, so we'll see whether or not they're able to build up enough ultimate to make that those swaps worthwhile. We do see that they're over on a Moira now, which is kind of an interesting look. Definitely more healing out, but Skep getting that pick on a Nevermore is going to be massive.
Yeah, especially because their main target there was definitely Pepino, but able to find one. Hey, you'll take it. Trades out each way though. 2 members down for each side here. Clairvoyance still keeping this card push alive here. Wily will dive on the card, hold it up. They do have that Primal Rage ready to go here, so they can definitely try to just stop this card as long as they can. Yaxum, a deadly on this Kariko, will be able to find Addison there, and Clairvoyance might need to think about falling back here.
Yeah, they're applying a lot of pressure even though they kind of keep losing people, and that's just really causing them to stagger up and burn time that they don't have to waste. We do see that the Winston's getting pretty low here, but everybody else just seems to be cleaning up.
Your teammate will fall there, but Wily will immediately trade it back out onto Pepino and Nevermore there. About 30 seconds left here. Clairvoyance, this is getting really close to the final fight territory. And look at Insidious. Almost 4 ultimates ready to go.
Yeah, Clairvoyance has a bunch of ults in their pockets as well, but Insidious has just been absolutely absorbing the damage and doing so well. We do see that in really early Dragon Strike comes out from boxes. Doesn't really do anything except for prevent Clairvoyance from walking out of spawn for a few seconds.
Questionable dragons there, but you're right. It might just prevent them from walking out of spawn. However, the kills coming out here from Clairvoyance now. The Coalescence coming out here from Quicksilver. They're trying to find some more kills here right now, but only are able to find 2 members of Insidious. However, overtime has started here, and Insidious using a lot of their ultimates already.
Yeah, Insidious used a lot of theirs. Clairvoyance used a lot of theirs, but it looks like Clairvoyance is coming out on top here. Insidious, like again, that early Dragon Strike, kind of some ults that didn't. It does look like we're coming in here for last touch, and Wily having that Primal Rage, that's certainly going to be good for them to solve.
Pulse Bomb coming out on card. Seth will find Addison off that. No Death Blossom. That could have been a huge ultimate right there. Wily, though, does pop their Primal Rage. Able to find one with that one right now. They're looking really good to tie this series up. Seth picking up a couple kills here. They're just trying to pick up the last one here. Nevermore will find Wily, but they're all by themselves right now. Yeah, they can heal themselves a great amount, but Boxes will be able to take them out there. And Insidious going to be able to tie this series up.
Yeah, very good defense by Insidious. Can definitely see why they decided to choose this map. They just looked super practiced and super good on it. I was going to give a shout out to Wily. Looks like they ended up getting play of the game, but I was going to give a shout out there at the end. Like when you mentioned that they were able to take down Addison with their Primal Rage. That was an absolutely massive pick. Addison not being able to be there with their Death Blossom was absolutely instrumental in them being able to hold the point. Just really phenomenal target focus and elimination by them.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, they picked that map for a reason. And honestly, it really all came down to the first point defense between the 2 teams there. Insidious definitely held on for a lot longer than what Clairvoyance did. It was about really 1 team fight and done when on Clairvoyance defense. For Insidious, though, it was about 2-3 team fights. Actually, hell, it came down to almost essentially overtime for them to cap that point, and it was a good team play that came out for them. They found a team kill, but in the end, it just felt like that first point hold was a lot better from Insidious.
It definitely was. That set Clairvoyance on their back foot kind of going into the attack, whereas Insidious, I believe at the end of point 2, had 4.5 minutes left to try to push it in all the way. So with that time advantage and that really strong first point hold, Insidious was really able to just lock this one in and square it away.
Yeah, absolutely right there. The 4.5 minutes is something that is incredibly hard, but Insidious, very aggressive, making sure they were going up there, trying to stop Clairvoyance from getting back on that second point, and it worked out perfectly for them. They lost no one, and they just found kill after kill after kill here. And honestly, you know, to start everything off here, Boxes on the Hanzo, it was a pick that I think both me and you kind of, you know, questioned a little bit, because it all really came down to if Boxes was able to hit shots. And their first arrow immediately through the head of Addison.
Yeah, that was just kind of, it was going to show exactly what Insidious was going to be doing that map. Definitely just a really great early pick there. Definitely didn't allow Clairvoyance to maintain the sort of momentum that they had hoped for. Just really good play for sure.
Yeah, we're just seeing some highlights from this past map here, and both team had, you know, some great plays from it. We just saw Addison's 3-man Death Blossom there. That took off a lot of time on that last point, but again, I'm saying right now, it really came down to the first point defense here from Insidious. Almost getting it essentially to overtime was the biggest thing for them here. You know, you see it here, about 20 seconds before they really start capping this point, and then all Insidious had to do was just essentially play time on this second, or on the first point push.
Good thing as a defender when you're trying to win a war of attrition. That is something that you should win every time.
Absolutely. But with that being the end of our second map, we're going to take our halftime break and be right back with the third map of this series. Welcome back from that halftime break, and we have ourselves a series on our hands here. 1-1 between Clairvoyance and Insidious after that afternoon bond here. Beth, it's been a very good series so far. Clairvoyance, pretty good on Nicc Peninsula. Insidious won their map pick. Both teams have so far won their map picks here.
Yeah, which is setting us up to have a really exciting game going forward. And I know we were talking during the break just how much of an impact the tanks in particular have had on both sides. During the first map, we definitely saw Nevermore do a ton of work on that Ramatra, just absolutely putting in tons of damage, getting tons of picks, and leading their team very well to a fairly easy point B and C victory here.
Yeah, it really seemed like on Nicc Peninsula, Insidious really had no good response here to the Ramatra from Nevermore. Yeah, they won the first point, but honestly, it was off a couple good plays from Insidious and maybe a couple misplays from Clairvoyance. And like you said, just Nevermore able just to throw those punches and get a lot of damage in, really caused Insidious a lot of problems.
Yeah, definitely, but also can't overstate on the side of Insidious how well the tank over there really was instrumental in their win on Numbani. We saw Wily roll out on a Winston and a Sigma and just honestly play both of those characters extremely well, and Clairvoyance didn't seem to really have an answer for him.
Yeah, and honestly, they really didn't. Wily was great here on the Sigma on the first point. Once they lost it, immediately went over to a Winston, and it just seemed like they had no idea how to really counter it. Yeah, Addison swapped over to the Reaper, but again, it was just Wily going in and finding kill after kill, and Addison never really getting that good counter value with that Reaper.
Yeah, certainly, and honestly, if you're a good enough Winston, being counterpicked doesn't matter. You know how to play around the counterpicks, and we certainly saw Wily do that very well into Addison's arguably very good Reaper play.
But we do know what our third map of the night is. We're going to be heading to the Australian outback of Junkertown here. And honestly, I think this is a good pick here for Clairvoyance. Remember, we saw Addison get a lot of value on that Ash on the last map. And I feel like this is kind of just plays straight in to how good Addison was on that character.
That's true. However, we do know that Insidious does like to run longer range pokey comps as well. And point A and B on this point are some of the longest range and pokiest comps in the game. If they are wanting to run kind of a Sigma more pokey comp on defense here, then they're gonna probably be in a really good position. I do hope that we do see a little bit of the DPS duel coming out here. I do love that first point for long range sniper duels, including Widow duels, Mesh duels, things like that. Kind of hoping that both teams decide to run out on that just for my own selfish reasons. But Clairvoyance, we have seen them really favor the Ramatra comp. And if they want to run that into a poke comp with good rotations using like a Lucio for speed or maybe a Symmetra for teleporters, that is also pretty achievable on this map.
Yeah, absolutely right there. And it's going to be really interesting, like you said, to see what each team kind of comes out with, whether it's a poke, whether it's kind of a normal, I wouldn't necessarily call it brawl, maybe a bunker comp here, but I feel like just the poke, especially on first point of Junkertown, is probably the way to go for both sides here. Unless you want to try to catch the other team off guard, maybe, not the best idea. Maybe a dive comp potentially if you want to try to close hold them, or just try to catch them off guard.
Yeah, certainly. And I do want to keep an eye on this map on Yaxum and Some Guy, both of the flex supports for Insidious and Clairvoyance. We did see that they both like to run, or I guess they're the main supports. Anyways, they like to run some high damage output stuff. I know that Yaxum is sort of a menace on the Kiriko, but they're both on the Zenyatas, which is a lot of fun. We haven't seen anybody play Zenyatta yet, and we certainly haven't seen anybody play Lifeweaver, which Pepino looks like they're going to be rolling out on. Which again, they're in spawn. They always mess with me, so we'll see. But I kind of want to see how Some Guy and Yaxum approach this. If they're able, whichever one of the Zens is able to better mark their targets, is able to put out the most damage, honestly, their team is probably going to end up winning. That said, we do have the sniper duel that I hope and pray for every time we are on a map like this. Maniacal versus Boxes on the Widows, Addison on the Hanzo, and Skep on the Ash. Both of these are going to be looking for long-range picks, probably on that Zenyatta. So in addition to doing all the things I mentioned, they're going to have to watch their heads.
Counted 5 snipers on the field right now. Pepino coming out on the Ana here, but you immediately see the tanks here just try to hold this high ground here. And Nevermore trying to just pepper in some damage. They're on to Wily, not getting it yet, but they do get dynamited instead.
Yeah, both teams just sort of setting up and poking each other out here. It looks like they're putting in a decent amount of damage on both sides. Skepp already a third of the way to their ultimate, which is the highest on the board besides Pepino, who's a third of the way to theirs. Just really jockeying for position, but a great pick by Boxes is going to help out Insidious tremendously here.
Yeah, immediately trading out there, and Boxes again popping heads to start this round here. Finds Pepino, and Clairvoyance might have to kind of fall back off those kills there.
You know, Overwatch can feel like a really different game, sort of depending on what role you're playing, what map you're playing. If you're a support on Junkertown, you are playing a survival horror game against the enemy's Widow.
I mean, you might be absolutely right there, especially with how good Boxes has been so far this round. Already finding 3 headshots to their name here. That shield going to be able to keep Yaxim alive here for the moment.
Yeah, definitely. And both of these teams are still just sort of poking each other out. Nobody is pressuring too far. They're kind of just sitting back and waiting for their Widows to get picks for the most part. But we do see that Maniacal is now over on the Tracer instead of the Widow. Able to take out Boxes, as the Tracers are the natural enemy of Widows, and some guy is able to flank and get your teammate down as well.
And the visor coming out here from Boxes, but Asn able to pick up Wiley there, and Clairvoyance now pushing this cart with ease. And Yaxim not noticing that Nevermore was right behind them, or maybe they were just wanting to die there.
Yeah, hard to say, but it looks like with their tank kind of being the last to respawn, it's going to be tough for Insidious, to be able to have a good touch here, and they're not going to be able to. They're going to be setting up for point B here. Insidious does have a lot of ultimates coming up. They haven't really gotten as much ult charge as Clairvoyance has, it looks like, coming into this. Teammates getting really close with their window. But Clairvoyance has a lift, a trance, and like they have basically all 5 ults, or they're going to get all 5 ults fairly quickly. Whereas Insidious, they're at like 70s, 80s. They're looking good, but Clairvoyance, if they're able to build those ults and get the tempo up, may be able to catch Insidious on their back foot here without anything to respond.
Yeah, and speaking of ults, Boxes did use their visor, you know, in the previous fight, but I imagine this might be their last life here on this Widowmaker. The Nano coming out here on to Nevermore here, already able to find Wiley down. The Transcendence coming out from Yaxim, but a little bit too late there. Nevermore will find your teammate as well. Maniacal on this back, get the stick there on to Yaxim just as the Transcendence ends. Nevermore will pick up Sep, and now Boxes running for their life.
Yeah, Maniacal definitely had a big W with that stick there, able to clean up and get Insidious off of the cart. Insidious did use a couple of ults in the last fight, which is kind of a tough thing if you're a fan of them, but like you said, Boxes is on their last life as a Widow, going over to a Cassidy. Clairvoyance, excuse me, Insidious looks like they're going to get a last touch here.
Flux denied there by Nevermore. Pepino will take care of Wiley. That might be their last life on this Sigma here with how their team looks right now. Pepino finding kill after kill here. Nevermore with the rocks and the hands, picking up some kills there, and Pepino will finish it off.
A really good play by Clairvoyance. Again, it looked like Insidious, like they got their last touch, they were coming in, but Clairvoyance was able to hold it out with really not much invested. They still have their Sigma Flux up, they still have Trance, and they still have Dragon Strike, all of which can be massive. We did see Wiley show Junker Queen for a split second, but is now over on the Winston. We did see them play Winston very, very well in the Mumbani point, and we can see that Winston can also be a really good player here with all the high grounds and dive abilities.
Oh, unfortunate there for Sep. They get slept and immediately taken out. Nevermore, though, already picking up 2 kills. The Dragon's also coming out from Addison here right now. Addison will find another one as well. And Clairvoyance just going to keep their foot on the gas pedal here.
Yeah, Insidious really has to take a second to regroup here. It does look like we've got a couple of more maybe swaps coming in or something like that, but they're very low on ultimate advantage here. Skepp has their pulse bomb up, which we've seen them do good things with previously, but Clairvoyance are just looking so dominant, and they still have their Transcendence up, which can completely negate any damage that Insidious does.
Yeah, you definitely see Skepp here looking for this pulse bomb stick. They're going to immediately recall themselves back here, but they have a target not going to be able to find when they're the Transcendence will be forced out here by some guy, but it's worth it as they find 3 kills looking for more here. Your teammate not going to be able to get out, and Wiley going to be able to escape back to spawn.
Yeah, some guy knowing that they don't really have to hold their Transcendence for any particular ultimate, were able to use it to sustain their team through that fight and allow Clairvoyance to keep their momentum up and keep their pressure up. Insidious with that fight are coming up on a bunch of ults, but Skepp getting taken out with Pulse Bomb is going to be absolutely huge for Clairvoyance.
Nano back on here to Nevermore. Already the kills going the way that Clairvoyance needs here. 2 down, make it 3 down, make it 4 as Nevermore starts to throw some hands Addison will end it with an arrow. And oh wait, we do see Sepp come back here. The pulse bomb comes out. Not going to find anyone there. Sepp going to be immediately denied there by Maniacal. As you see Wiley coming back, trying to get there. But over 2.5 minutes for Clairvoyance. An amazing push round there.
2.5 minutes for Clairvoyance on attack is an absolutely insane time bank. I feel like Junkertown is one of the most defense-sided maps in the game, so they are definitely in a good position to hold it here. Saw Clairvoyance run out on some stuff we hadn't seen them on before. They were on that Sigma for the entire game, which is not something that they showed during Numbani or Antarctic Peninsula. But Nevermore was honestly looking very, very good on that character as well. Insidious, again, they just weren't able to find their footing. We saw them kind of act a little bit flustered, a little bit scattered, maybe not playing the same sort of organized Overwatch we'd seen them play earlier. But with 2.5 minutes is not an unbeatable time, and Insidious does have the ability to try to push out and see what they can do here. It looks like Insidious is at least showing, again, people change all the time, they're showing a Widow Sigma Sombra. Very similar to what we saw previously, although that Sombra is a little bit of a change. I'm wondering if they're thinking that Clairvoyance is going to run out on that Zen again, and they thought, some guy is putting in enough damage that we need something in the back line to distract them, so they're not able to put as much pressure on our tank and our front line, and we're really able to just pressure the front line a lot more. Clairvoyance is running out on a very similar comp to what they had earlier. Pepino's over on that Ana, which we've seen them put a lot of work in. And Maniacal's on the Tracer. We know that Insidious was looking out for Maniacal on the Tracer from the get-go, and it looks like they're not planning on taking their foot off of that gas pedal anytime soon.
Yeah, some swaps coming out here. Sepp now on the Widowmaker boxes on the Hanzo. And Maniacal, once they swapped over that Tracer last round, that's when they finally started to get going a little bit, because it was really boxes denying everything that Clairvoyance had from the start, finding headshot after headshot on the Widowmaker. DPS are swapped here for Insidious right now, so let's see how it works out for them.
Yeah, definitely. And maybe one of them just feeling one and one of them just feeling the other, but looks like both teams are still in their kind of poke phase. They're trying to jockey for position and see who can get that crucial first pick that is the go button.
Yeah, but right now, Insidious getting very aggressive here. Box is gonna have to be saved by that Immortality Field. Addison will immediately take it out. Sepp there finds Addison first. That's huge for Insidious. They need to try to snowball it now into some more kills.
Certainly, and taking out half of the damage is certainly a lot of pressure, and actually make that all of the damage. It looks like Insidious is really finding their footing here.
Nevermore, though, going to be able to find Sepp there. That's a big pick. Getting rid of that Widowmaker, who can easily one-shot headshot basically everyone minus the tank. It's huge to get them out, but still, Insidious pushing this card at a very good pace right here. Yaxum going to win the duel there onto some guy here for the moment. Yaxum going in. Nevermore will shut them down for the moment, and they do have some support there to keep themselves alive. However, Insidious still pushing that card.
Yeah, and with Nevermore not really being able to push up on the cart there, they were able to get an awful lot of push, but that also gave Clairvoyance a little bit of time to regroup here, and Nevermore's got a lot of sustain.
Here comes the Nano on to Nevermore. They're 1% away from that Flux. They have it ready now. They find your teammate. Maniacal comes back, finds Wiley as well. And just the kills going the way of Clairvoyance here. And we do see Nevermore will be able to hold on to this Flux. That's a huge play for them. Oh, that's a little bit of payback there in the Zenyatta duel.
Seems like it. But really got to hand it to Nevermore during that last engagement. Like I said, they were just continuing to survive. They had a lot of sustain there. Even though they backed off and Insidious was able to get a ton of cart push in, it didn't end up really mattering at the end of that point because they waited to regroup. They were able to get that very last touch in and get a full fight. And we see here that they're not going to let Insidious walk up on them easy.
No, not at all. Maniacal here. Definitely trying to focus in on Sepp. They wait for the Visor to go out. Now they have a good angle on them. Sepp, though, going to be able to keep themselves alive here. Yaxum is there to support them, but now the time just slowly ticking down here. And Clairvoyance has a lot of ultimates here that they can play with to pretty much stop Insidious.
Yeah, they've got almost every single ultimate in their pocket besides the Nano, and it looks like they're going, but it looks like Insidious is going to use the window here first early to try to apply some pressure and some damage. Oh, Sepp finding the headshot there on the Maniac, able to keep them alive. The Transcendence coming out from both Zenyatas here, but two members of Clairvoyance already down and out of this fight. This Transcendence, though, going to be able to keep Nevermore alive in this fight, and Nevermore has both their supports. Sorry I said that, Pepino, but you fall right after I said that. So now it's just this Zenyatta, but Nevermore can't keep themselves alive. Some guy, Maniacal, will fall there, and eventually Nevermore will fall as well. Here comes the Dragon Strike. Won't find anyone. Insidious, though, will cap the second point. First point. Really, really good play by Yaxum there. Able to sustain sustain Insidious through the fight and clean it up with a 3K there at the end. Just absolute fantastic Zenyatta play by them. Going into this, both teams used a lot of ults in that fight. Pepino still does have their Ana ult up here, but it looks like Insidious is applying a ton of forward pressure here.
Oh, but that forward pressure might just end with that arrow there from Addison Yaxum, taking it to their head. Not where you want to take an arrow.
Certainly not. But that does send Insidious back, allowing Clairvoyance to get some time to recover, and boxes being taken out is going to be massive for Clairvoyance. At the very least, it's going to buy them more time to recover here.
Why, though, able to at least get one kill here. Insidious, though, deciding to fall back here, not play the cart, wait for everyone to come back up in this fight.
Yeah, but both teams, again, they're just in that sort of pokey phase. Both of them are running very long-range things, just waiting to get the damage, waiting to get the picks here. Not a lot coming up on either side. Pepino still has that nano up, which could honestly be given to almost anybody, but probably going to be given to Nevermore to try to engage on the front line more and push Insidious out.
Sepp looking for some heads there, not going to be able to find Nevermore's there, but Yaxum getting some payback there, now winning the duels with the Zenyatta there over some guy. Boxes trying to get into this backline here as the nano comes out on to Nevermore. Yaxum, Sepp immediately fall. Your teammate able to trade one out there, but those members that fell for Insidious will immediately force them to fall back.
Yeah, Clairvoyance is doing a really good job holding this point. We saw, and that late pick onto the Sombra too. That's devastating for Insidious. Insidious here, they've got to find some way to break through, whether that's with ultimates, whether that's with improved target focus, or what. But Clairvoyance, with a minute 30 seconds left on the clock, is looking pretty comfortable here holding this B point.
Yeah, and Insidious making some swaps here. Step now on the Tracer to try to annoy that backline a little bit. The damage is coming out here from your teammate. Gonna try to pump as much damage to it as they possibly can, but Maniacal looking for that pulse bump stick. Not gonna be able to find it. Wiley, though, getting incredibly low. Gonna be able to keep themselves alive with what seems like 5 health here. Nevermore not gonna be able to find it. Bring the Sepp. Finds Addison, immediately traded back out there from Pepino. The EMP gonna come out here, will find both the support line there for Clairvoyance. One falls, they're looking for the other. They're gonna be able to get that. The Flux did come out there from Nevermore, but they find no one with it, and now Insidious has a good opportunity here to cap this second point.
Yeah, Insidious did a really good job of using their ultimates to their advantage, trying to pick out those support targets, taking away all of Clairvoyance's sustain there. But it was a very expensive fight for them. Although there are 2 minutes and 10 seconds left on the clock, and they do have a couple of ults on board, Clairvoyance is definitely in a position where they, with having the trance up, are going to be able to sustain through the lift fairly easily. Are going to be definitely looking up ults up as well.
Yeah, and, you know, Wiley could use his Flux here very early in this fight. Some guy just got the Transcendence, so they might try to hold on to it for a little bit here, or at least try to trade him out here. Wiley getting the Accretion hit there onto Nevermore, but still, it's just this fight for the control of the high ground. You see it so often on this point. Each team wants to kind of control the high ground.
Yeah, certainly, and both teams, neither team really has an advantage here, but that said, with this jockeying for position, as soon as I say that they send somebody to cart, but I was going to say Insidious is getting a lot of good cart push here without much contest, just because everybody's fighting for that high ground off the point.
Yeah, Wiley going to be able to take care of Maniacal there. Get some revenge there for their fallen team. And now the Flux comes out from Wiley. It will force the Transcendence out from some guys, so no one will fall because of it. But you will definitely take that trade if you are Insidious. Nevermore, they're finding boxes is a huge pick for them. Sepp falling as well. Insidious here definitely needing to fall back, but they might be a little bit too far engaged in this fight to fall back.
Yeah, and Insidious almost had to use that Flux just to get the trance out. It's such a high-value ultimate that it's so important to like try to get it out without an ult if you can, but sometimes you just have to know that it's there and use your Flux anyways. Clairvoyance does have a trance of their own, and Yaxum is only 2/3 of the way to their Transcendence, although teammate does still have that ammo field, which can be very helpful. But looks like the fight for the high ground's going on again, but Nevermore's able to get an early pick onto Skep.
Damage measures coming out. Your teammate's really going to be the only one to benefit from that one there, but look at what it kind of does. It forces everyone on Clairvoyance to play back a little bit. They don't want to be taken out by that Baptiste there, but 30 seconds to go here for Insidious. They need to try to cap this or finish the map here so they at least force an overtime.
Yeah, using the window for yourself is not a bad decision. It did apply a lot of map pressure, but it just looks like Clairvoyance is so coordinated. Yeah,
definitely a coordinated play coming out for them. The Flux came out to force out that Immortality field. The Dragons came out from Asin there to find 2 Transcendence coming out here from Yaxum to try to keep their team alive on this point, but I believe it's just them and Sepp. Actually, Boxes is there as well. Boxes will find some guy. A huge pick. Sepp does have this Pulse Bomb ready to go, but Nevermore able to find Yaxum. The Pulse Bomb coming out, not able to find the stick. That could have been huge for them, but we do see Insidious coming back here on some swaps.
And Boxes was desperately trying to build up that Bob ultimate. 91% so close, which is excellent takedown by Nevermore here. We do see that both teams are switching over to stall comps in order to try to maintain here in overtime.
Wiley on this ball, gonna try to do whatever they can to keep their team alive in this one, but Step falling there is not what you wanted to see. Oh, Wiley taking a short nap here. Your teammate falls because of that nap that Wiley received there. Clairvoyance will go up onto series point.
Yeah, that was a beautiful sleep by Pepino, and also just a really good call of don't touch ball, he's sleeping, that the other team listened to there. As somebody who played on a lot last season, the call isn't always adhered to, but it's good to see that they were able to have the communication in order to do that. Really good defense, though, all the way around by Clairvoyance. Just really excellent play for them. Definitely see why they chose this map. They look very practiced and very comfortable. Insidious maybe a little bit less so. We did see that they should favor a couple of comps that were really strong on this map, but overall it just looked like Clairvoyance was the more comfortable and coordinated team here.
Yeah, and when you pick a map, you definitely want to feel like you're more comfortable. And it definitely seemed like that throughout that entire map. And I want to give a huge shout out there to Pepino, actually. That first point defense there that Clairvoyance had when it was just them and Nevermore on the point. Everyone for Insidious was focused so much on Nevermore that they did not focus anything on Pepino. Pepino kept Nevermore alive in that fight, got them the nano, and essentially pretty much made sure that Insidious did not cap that first point as fast as they probably should have.
Yeah, and it's certainly something that we see a lot in all ranks, but also in the lower ranks, is you want to shoot the thing in front of you, and sometimes it's better to shoot the person, keeping the person in front of you alive, but really excellent play by Pepino there. I also wanted to give a shout out to Yaxim. I know we'd mostly been saying to watch them on the flanky Kiriko kind of a role for a lot of it, but they were putting in a ton of damage as Zenyatta as well, building up their ultimate very quickly and just able to turn a lot of fights with a couple of really clean kills.
Yeah, and like Clairvoyance said, that was the player they were definitely watching out for the most here tonight, was Yaxim on this the flanking Kiriko or the Zenyatta on this past map. They just feel like if they were able to have free range to find picks, find damage, it was just going to be pretty much the end for them. And so far, they've done a good job at stopping Yaxim, but Yaxim still has had points throughout this series where they have absolutely popped off.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess, like, you know, Kiriko versus Zen, the difference isn't that huge, right? I'm sure it's the damage is fairly similar, but definitely very good play by them. And I'm looking forward to seeing what Insidious decides to do here. It is do or die time for them. It is first to 3 in the finals here. So whatever map they choose could be the last map of the series if they're not able to pull it out. But we are going to push map, at least varied of all of them. We only have 3 options for this, so it'll be interesting to see kind of what they decide to do.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what they decide to do here. But there are also other series going on right now throughout the Harmony tier, so let's just update you on those right now. Currently, in Onigiri versus Strix, Onigiri is up 2-1. Geometrics and Flashbacks are tied at 1. Disclosant, Sweeping Doodles 3-0 here tonight. Clairvoyant... That's this map, never mind. Koala Kings down against the Luminous Foxes 2-1 in that one. And Pause Champ and the Galactic Penguins has not had a score reported yet. So it looks like throughout the Harmony tier night, there has been a lot of competitive series.
Yeah, it certainly seems like we could have chosen one of these games watching it would have been fun, but I'm really happy we're here. I mean, like, both of these teams are so evenly matched. We've seen a lot of good play back and forth, and I feel like anyone could pull this out at the end of the day.
Yeah, but going back to the series now, push map here. It's well, we know what map it's gonna be. We're heading to Coliseum.
Dexatron says disappointedly.
I mean, I wasn't gonna talk about the other 3 maps and take a random guess, but you know, Coliseum. I feel like with Coliseum, you either love it or you hate it, and a lot of teams, I feel like, fall into that hate category more. But I feel like that's also a good thing, because a lot of times those teams won't necessarily practice it. Insidious is bringing us here maybe for that reason.
I was gonna say, I know that it's always been kind of a strat of, like, if we practice the map that everybody hates, if we practice the Noombanis, if we practice the, like, Paris and Horizon lunar colonies back in the day, like, if we get really good and we get to be the experts on those maps, then we will be unbeatable if we have to end up choosing them. And maybe that's what they're doing with Coliseum. Who's to say? Does this map particularly play into either team's strength? I don't know whether or not it does. It's so hard to say on these push maps because they are so mirrored and so evenly balanced. I feel like you can run almost anything on these maps and do okay if it's something that you're practiced on. That said, we do see that Insidious is running out on a brawl comp. I wonder if that's more more of a comfort picks comp or whether that's what they think of what they're practiced on, what they're used to running here. But we do see, in addition to running a brawl comp, they're running a brawl comp plus a tracer. That can be a good pick depending on what Clairvoyance decides to run here, because the tracer can harass the backline and really help them out that way. And we do see Clairvoyance does have a target that is potentially harassable in some guy and Pepino. They do have some defense against a flanker, but maybe not so much as like maybe a Brig or a Cassidy in the backline would. Both teams are actually running out on dueling tracers here with sort of a brawl. It's just really the Rhine versus the Ramatra that's making the big difference here.
Yeah, you immediately see Insidious here. Want to try to take as much space as they can, keep Clairvoyance from getting as close to that bot. But the ice ball coming out there from Addison. Oh, this might be deadly already. Maniacal able to find Sepp out early. The immortality field have them being invested here to keep Wily alive. But now Clairvoyance, without that tracer pressure from Insidious, might be easily able to win this first team fight. And a huge ante there for Pepino. Some guy able to take care of Wily.
Yeah, Clairvoyance did a really good job of just pressuring out the Reinhardt there. Really, really good wall to start it off by Addison. Definitely split the Rein off and made Insidious have to invest a lot of resources into keeping them alive. Insidious does look like they're making a swap over onto the Kiriko off of the Baptiste. No longer will have the immortality, but will maybe have a little bit more utility, especially into an Ana that has the capability of purpling a lot of the team, as we have seen Pepino do numerous times tonight.
And look at Wily going over to this Ram as well. The pulse bomb coming out there from Maniacal does force out the Suzu from Yaxim right there. But now this is, I believe this is like the first time tonight we're seeing Wily come out here on the Ramatra. So it's going to be interesting to see how this duel goes between them and Nevermore. But just Addison there trying to just freeze them. Wily will eventually find them, but Nevermore immediately finds Wily right back.
Yeah, it's not a bad trade, but it does look like Clairvoyance is going to be able to swing this.
The nano going on here to some guy. That was definitely by accident there, but they're finding the kills they need to here. However, they do lose Nevermore, who in my opinion was probably the primary target for that nano. Sepp will eventually shut some guy down, and now they will find Pepino as well.
Yeah, we don't get to see the nano more out there, but really great play there by Skep, just really cleaning people up, including some guy with that nano. Honestly, some guy with a nano is not something to be too confident around. We have seen them be really good on the Zen and put in a ton of damage tonight. But Insidious did a really, really good job of cleaning up that fight, and they have a bunch of ultimates in their pocket. I don't know if I like to switch from Wily over to the Ramatra, but I've never seen them play Ramatra, and they do almost have their ult up, so they're certainly doing something right here.
The Blizzard coming out here from Addison early does force out the beat from teammate. They will immediately fall. Wily falls as well. The Transcendence coming out here from some guy might be a little bit too much. However, the Blizzard did come out from boxes. That does keep everyone on Clairvoyance alive as boxes falls there.
I mean, I always say it's better to use an ult and not need it than need it and not use it, but some guy we have seen build their ultimates up pretty quickly. They're probably going to get it back pretty soon here. And Nevermore and Wily both have dueling Ramatra ults up, which could either, depending on who pops it where and how they're able to do their target focus, it could be massive for either team. It honestly could go either way based on these ultimates we have.
Here comes the Nemesis form here from Nevermore. Maniacal and some guy already finding 3 there. They're looking to find more. Nevermore will pop that Annihilation and find both supports there for Insidious. And this might be the first point here for Clairvoyance.
It very well may be. It looks like Insidious might be able to regroup, but really with Pepino standing on bot, Nevermore still pressure. It does look like it's more likely than not going to be a first cap. Insidious does have a couple of really strong ultimates in their pocket to try to take out Clairvoyance and swing the advantage back in their favor. But once you get that first point, it can be really tough on these push maps to even do that.
Kitsune Rush coming out here from Yaxim as Wily finds 2, but look at that 2 immediately being traded back out there, and then another 2 traded out from Insidious. Wily will find the last one. They're on and Nevermore. It will be a team kill, but Clairvoyance will have those forward spawns to get back into this fight pretty fast.
I would like to formally apologize to Wily for doubting their Ramatra. Definitely looking very good on that, even though we hadn't seen them play it at all yet. Clairvoyance doesn't look like they're going to go for that touch, so even though they get close spawns, they lose those close spawns here.
Yeah, and Wily still holding on to this Annihilation. However, Clairvoyance does have a good ultimate to kind of cancel it out with the Blizzard. They're immediately going to use it here early in this team fight. I like the aggressiveness here from Clairvoyance, but it doesn't stop Wily's Annihilation. However, the ante from Pepino will. They immediately find their Yaxim falls as well. Maniacal will fall here for Clairvoyance, but I feel like the damage has already been done in this fight.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, oh, I don't know if I would have used my freeze that early if I were Addison, but honestly, it ended up being the right call. Wily ended up popping their Nemesis for him, even though they were a man down and there was a freeze out on the field, which ended up putting Clairvoyance at a huge advantage there, using their May ult not only to win the fight, but also to get out a massive ultimate from the side of Insidious. You see that Insidious is switching over to a Stomp, but there's a fight going on kind of even without them in play yet.
The hack will come out on to Nevermore here, but however, the hack goes away. Here comes the Annihilation. They're looking for anyone they can. Your teammate does find Addison, and the Annihilation will go away there. The beat coming out here from your teammate hits only 2 people there, but here comes Nevermore again, just throwing those hands. Will find boxes, but Clairvoyance here on the back foot. However, they continue to find some kills here.
Yeah, it seems like it is kind of swinging back and forth either way. Obviously, the defenders are going to have a little bit of an advantage here, which may send Clairvoyance back to spawn. And I keep wanting to say, like, the Nano War. I want to see it do something, but it seems like every time Nevermore gets nanoed, the other team is just able to back off and sort of wait it out and not let them get the advantage that they want there. Coming into this, Clairvoyance again does have those close spawns, but looks like they might be able to try to take it here before the Nevermind. Oh, maybe just barely before the spawn switch.
Looks like they barely, yeah, like you said, just barely right there. But now there goes the spawns. However, the Blizzard coming out here from boxes is huge. It will force out the Transcendence from some guy to keep everyone on Clairvoyance up. Wily so close to that Annihilation, but Addison shuts them down. They shut down 2 members. The Pulse Bomb coming out here from Maniacal will not find anyone there, but the kills keep rolling in favor of Clairvoyance.
Yeah, excellent play there. Honestly, that Transcendence that was popped by some guy absolutely saved the fight for Clairvoyance. Really great timing there, really great ultimate usage. Absolutely no notes. Fantastic job by them. 3 minutes left on the clock. Clairvoyance still has that kind of massive space advantage, and it doesn't look like Insidious has been able to swing it, but they do have Wily's ultimate up as well as Kitsune Rush.
Blizzard coming out here from Addison. This is gonna be deadly. The EMP, though, coming out from Sep does find a couple, and look at that, Sep finds 2, but Nevermore finding the big man there of Wily. Might keep them alive. They pop their Annihilation here to try to keep themselves up in this fight. The Annihilation, though, will be denied by Yaxum, and now Insidious tries to clean up some of the last remaining members of Clairvoyance here. 3 minutes left to go here. Insidious still is in this one.
Yeah, that was a great fight for Insidious for multiple reasons. Not only were they able to swing a little bit more of the advantage in their favor, but they were able to get out Nevermore's big Nemesis form ult. He'll have plenty of time to build up another one before the end of the match, but not having that as a threat allows Wily and company to play a little bit more aggressively here, which could prove to be very advantageous for them.
Fox is gonna invest the Blizzard here. Oh, this might be deadly. However, Nevermore able to keep themselves alive there. Insidious will find 2 picks here, but they do lose 1 member. Here comes the Annihilation from Wily. They're trying to dive in on these supports. They will find Pepino. They won't be able to find anyone else with it, but hey, finding 1 is good. Some guy will fall right after that, and Insidious starting to pick up the kills they need here, but it's Rock'em Sock'em robots here between Wily and Nevermore's head will pop first.
Yeah, the momentum is certainly swinging here. Honestly, like, just looking super good for Insidious, who's finally able to get some cart push here. Insidious, unfortunately, had to use a ton of ultimates again in that fight, or I guess they had to use 2 kind of major ones in Annihilation and in May Freeze. They do have a beat for some sustain and maybe another EMP coming on board, but Clairvoyance has a lot in their pocket as well, which could be the deciding factor here.
And that is not what you want to see if you're Insidious. The Axum falling first is huge for them. Wily trying to escape. Hell, everyone on Insidious trying to escape here. Nevermore just throwing those punches. Some guy will be able to shut down Wily. And now your teammate going to be able to escape. But Box is kind of in between a rock and a hard place at the moment.
An ice wall and a... Clairvoyance was able to win that fight out using any ultimates, which honestly is absolutely massive. They have 5 in their pocket now coming in, some very high impact ultimates, and Insidious, however, is going to try to answer soon with an EMP to start the match.
But a Blizzard coming out here from Addison might keep them alive in this one, but they don't really find anything off of there. Nevermore does find Sep. However, Insidious still has this numbers advantage. The Pepino here to keep Nevermore up and supported. It's going to be rough here, but Wily able to find Pepino there. Nevermore. Oh, they're able to hop over that ice wall at the last moment. That's going to be huge, especially because I have this Annihilation ready to go.
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to that. I don't remember which tank it was, but one of them was body blocking their support so well. Just absolutely fantastic play by them there. Maniacal with that pick on the Wily, though, is going to be absolutely massive for Clairvoyance, especially with only 40 seconds remaining in the game.
Seth will find some guy, which is a big pick for them. They do have that Transcendence ready, but most of Insidious fell way before that. And 30 seconds left to go. Clairvoyance gonna push this bot back towards Insidious for what could be the final team fight.
It could be, and it's probably going to be a big ult fight. We see that Clairvoyance has their Annihilation as well as their Transcendence and their Nano up, and a Nano more. I want it to happen. I want Nano more to happen and be big. But on the side of Insidious, we do see that the freeze is up. That could be a massive counter to Clairvoyance's ultimates, especially since Yaxim is able to take Pepino down so early.
Yeah, Pepino falling early is not what you want to see. No Nanomore like you've been hoping to see at the moment. But Clairvoyance will just fall back off this. They know they have some ultimates to play with into here, but Wily and Sepp finding kills is huge for them.
Yeah, they're definitely putting everything that they have into this. It is into overtime now. They've got a long way to go here, but they do have a couple of massive ultimates coming up. Whiteley was able to build up their Annihilation back up again, even though Nevermore still has theirs to sort of respond to it. It'll be interesting to see which team is going to be able to use their ults to their advantage. Clairvoyance has the slight advantage in numbers here.
Here comes Nano Nevermore. The Blizzard comes out, but the damage already being put out here. The Transcendence being forced out here by Sumga as well. 2-1 in favor of kills there for Clairvoyance, but that Annihilation still going on. Nevermore finding kill after kill, and Nevermore will end this series here and send Clairvoyance on to the next round.
Absolutely excellent play all around. Both of these teams doing so well tonight, but definitely got to hand it to Clairvoyance. They just looked so practiced and coordinated on these maps and looked absolutely fantastic. We do see Wily here getting play of the game. Definitely excellent to play by them as well. But just overall, a really fun match tonight, Dex.
Yeah, an incredibly fun match, and it seemed like both these teams were pretty evenly matched throughout the night here. Clairvoyance, though, in my opinion, able just to kind of space himself out a little bit on Colosseo by essentially, winning those first couple team fights, able to push that card up a little bit, really seemed like Insidious struggled to kind of get anything going up until about the last 4 minutes of that round.
Yeah, which gotta hand it to them. Like it was do or die time for them. It was potentially the end of their playoff run, and they were able to dig deep and just get a little bit more push. Wasn't enough for them to capture the map or win it and stay in it, but definitely gotta hand it to them. They did not go down easy.
No, absolutely not. Wily and everyone there for Insidious did a hell of a job to try to keep themselves in this one. But just throughout the night, at certain points, Clairvoyance was just able to kind of one-up them. And a lot of the times, I want to give a huge shout out to Pepino and their Ana, especially on Colosseo. We saw a huge annihilation, or what could have been a huge annihilation coming out there from Wily, but an anti on them pretty much denied that one pretty quickly there. And I felt like that was a point where the momentum kind of shifted on this last map.
Definitely. I feel like a lot of players popped off tonight. A lot of players did really well in their own times, but at the end of the day, we've got to give a player of the match here, Dex. So who out of this team do you think deserves player of the match?
To quote the Raven, I will say Nevermore.
Excuse you, didn't you steal my pick? I picked that. But no, yeah, Nevermore did so well tonight.
Yeah, I mean, at halftime, me and you were talking about who was doing good so far throughout the series, and we talked about both tanks. Mm-hmm. And then we both kind of talked about, well, okay, let's pick some other people as well. And, I believe we looked at Addison and we looked at, I think it was Sepp.
I think so, yeah. Those, in the first half especially, I feel like those four players definitely popped off. For my player of the match, though, if I've got to give it to somebody, I've got to give it, I think, to Maniacal. Definitely was shut down a little bit more in this last map here, but we saw him putting in so much work in the first few maps. Just absolutely dominant on the Tracer play, getting lots of sticks and pulse bombs and things like that. Just really, really fantastic play all around by them.
As the GM for Clairvoyance will say, that's probably a Maniac W right there. But, they did great as well. And that was one player that Insidious was really watching out for. It was Tracer, was Maniacal there. They said, if we can shut them down, we feel pretty good that we're going to be able to keep ourselves in this series and win it. And they did a good job shutting them down on that last map. But at the same time, I felt like, I feel so bad that I'm forgetting the name of the May, but the May really stepped up for Clairvoyance.
Yeah, certainly. Wasn't that Addison?
Yes.
Yes, it was Addison.
Yes.
So definitely a good job. Honestly, I feel like this is the kind of match where we could have named any one of these players as player of the match and we would have been right. Like all of these players had their shining moments and all of these teams played so well. But at the end of the day, Clairvoyance does take it 3-1 and advances into the championship bracket for the playoffs here.
Yeah, some other scores from around Harmony Tier right here. Onigiri beating Strix 3-1 here tonight. Flashbacks and Geometric currently 2-1 in favor of the Flashbacks. Remember, Disclosing beating Doodles in a sweep. Luminous Foxes beating the Koala Kings 3-1 here tonight. And Paul's Champs and the Galactic Penguins still does not have a score reported there. Beth, by that reaction there, is that an upset?
Luminous feel like they're a little bit of a dark horse. I haven't followed them as closely this season, but I feel like Koala Kings has been such a bastion of the community, and you all expect, oh yeah, like the Koala Kings are probably going to make finals. So the Luminous Foxes game traditionally has been a little bit of an upset, but that's kind of a fun match that I'm going to have to watch back later.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be one that I feel like a lot of people are going to be watching back later because, like you said, the Koala Kings, a team that I think everyone kind of said, going to be in the finals. And I'm agreeing with you. Luminous Foxes, definitely a dark horse, an underdog here. But with this win tonight, I believe that dark horse is kind of out of the picture. They have just made a statement here tonight. But Beth, before we sign off for the night, anything else you want to say?
Just that I'm looking forward to watching the rest of these games. You can continue to watch here on Tranquility GG, twitch.tv/Tranquility GG. There we go. We'll have games every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday leading up to the finals. We've got other programming throughout the week, so stay tuned for your announcements or anything in the Discord to let you know when we're going live.
Is Bronze Banter after this, or is it Silver Slammer?
I don't know. one of those fun sort of discussions is coming after this. It's either going to be talking about the Harmony tier or talking about the Discord tier, but either way, it's always a fun time to be able to watch it.
Yeah, so make sure you guys stick around for once the stream ends. Probably whichever one of those two shows will shortly follow. But I want to thank everyone who came out to this one tonight. I want to thank T and Hippie for being our production crew here tonight. They did an amazing job. Beth, I want to thank you. You were great as always. Yeah, that will pretty much do it for us here tonight. Make sure you stick around for the talk show. That will be happening shortly after this stream ends. Have a good night, y'all.
Distance is no obstacle to my accuracy.
Barrier unsuccessful.